Theuseuton, love, peace, blessing, all manner of goodness and abundance, absolute healing, health, wealth, prosperity. Something good is going to happen to you today. And today I was thinking about detoxing, and really, really powerful, tool in all areas of life. And I think my wife and I were first introduced to it when she came home from church with a book that was entitled The Fungus Link. And we're like, what? Fungus Link? But it was one of those books we felt, compelled to read. And, just came to her through, supernatural, in the moment, right thing, right time, experience. And so we read it and we're like, oh, wow. And we found out about all these toxins, and the fungus link was obviously about fungus and all types of microbials, little things like parasites that live in most people. And we're like floored, we're like thinking, my goodness. And when we found out about this, and also when we found out that it's what you put into the body that creates disease. And we had the idea, which is very, very, I don't know, I guess popular, we could use the word, that you're handed down your genes and your physical circumstance when it comes to health, and you're pretty much stuck with that. There's nothing you can do about it. And so when we heard about that, we recognized that that's not true. And the really cool thing is, after we were open and had the idea that that wasn't true, there was just confirmation upon confirmation that was added to it. And when we recognized this and we started practicing some of these dietary disciplines, what happens is that there's something that you run into that's called the Herxheimer effect, or some people call it the die-off effect. It's when these little critters are when they are when they're dead. Yeah, don't like to use that word really, but what happens is they give off even more toxins inside of them, and in our body, it causes flu-like systems. So here you are, you're doing a process and you're thinking, oh, this is for my health and well-being, and you end up feeling worse. But the thing is that for most people that only lasts a couple of hours, 12 hours, some maybe a little bit longer depending on how toxic you were. And so when you know that ahead of time, and when you know ahead of time, okay, this is what it is, and just really, really hydrate, just really rebuild, a lot of citrus, just take a lot of rebuilding foods that will help you replenish, which most of the time, it's minerals, and electrolytes, things that just, again, really without them, you just simply don't feel good. And so, but when it's coming, and to expect it, it's not as bad as if something just comes upon you and you're like, oh, what's this? And of course, whenever we are threatened in any type of way, we immediately resort to fear. And if you're not careful, the mind can go to worst case scenarios. And I think that's how a lot of people get in trouble, by letting their minds get carried away. And that's when things can get worse. Most everybody is aware of the placebo effect, where if you think you're taking a medicine or you're taking a drug, you almost always have the exact same effects as people who actually did take the drug, because that's what you're expecting, and so the body will produce those effects. And but that's placebo, that's the positive. There's also nocebo, or the nocebo effect, where if you're expecting something negative, that happens too. And unfortunately, I believe a lot of people end up in what could be life-threatening situations because of nocebo. And when we have an understanding, when we are prepared ahead of time, and we know what to expect without expecting the worst, and because sometimes when we have an effect, we know what it is. Again, we don't overreact, we don't have fear, and we just recognize that, okay, this is just a process, and it's actually a positive process. And once I get through this short experience, I'm going to feel a lot better. And when it comes to detoxing, I can just personally testify that it really does work, and you really do feel better. And it's incredible, the change that comes. And when we add that idea to our mind as well, to our thinking. And for me, I think, because over the ages we've had just wise, loving parental teachers who did their best to explain things to us, but it's very, very difficult to explain an experience. And it's also difficult over the ages when language changes, for ancient words to have the same meaning sometimes, because the words have changed. I mean, just think of how things in our own English language have changed. I mean, some people use the word sick to describe something cool, to describe something good. And even the scripture says, beware of those who call good evil and evil good. In other words, they recognize, hey, this is something that humans do over time. This is something that happens, and it's an age-old thing. But having a connection with the true essence of what somebody means, of what somebody is trying to explain, the path that they took to get to their own personal enlightenment and understanding and the knowledge of a subject may be a bit different than someone else's. And so when we have that understanding, and we recognize that, we can also know ahead of time that, okay, maybe I'm going to experience a period where it may not look like what I'm doing, thinking, practicing is going to produce the goal that I intend. As a matter of fact, it looks like I'm going the opposite direction. And it sure feels like I'm getting the opposite result. And it can be that that's normal for some of us. My favorite, I think, most powerful version and explanation when it comes to the mind of this situation, I think I haven't experienced anyone who explains it any better than Eckhart Tolle, and his explanation and experience of the mind, and recognizing that over our lifetime we have created an entity based on our experience, but that entity is not who we are. It's actually a false entity, and it actually creates an entity that can be known, or as he explains, as the pain body. Could be what our ancestors, wise teachers, mothers and fathers have been trying to explain to us using words, maybe even like demons, or all different bad spirits, or all different types of explanations to explain what their experience was. But I think in our age, Eckhart Tolle, in my experience, explains it the absolute best. And if you haven't read The Power of Now, his book by Eckhart Tolle, really encourage you to read that. It's also on Audible for those who like to listen. and sometimes it's really cool to listen and read together at the same time. But understanding that, that there is, a false self that is totally manifesting even in our own consciousness and in our own beliefs, that we believe, hey, that's me. And it's usually going to have a lot of labels. It's going to have probably be carrying a lot of baggage. And another really, really helpful tool is Abraham Hicks' explanation of our emotional guidance system. And our emotional guidance system is our emotions and is our feelings. So if something isn't feeling good to us, if it doesn't feel right deep down, chances are we're dealing with the false self. We're dealing with the mind, as Eckhart Tolle explains it, is that when we experience and we come to conclusions that are negative and that lead us to a false expectancy, what happens is that we think that that's our own self, and our own self speaking to us, leading us and guiding us, but it is in fact a false self. And a really, really powerful, and effective practice for ears just popping a little bit there, tool for us to experience and to recognize the difference is to step back and observe our thoughts, to watch our thoughts, to just experience our thoughts, and so that we don't become re-entangled through emotion, so that we don't support what could be the emotional pain body by reattaching ourselves emotionally, to just simply observe, to just step back and don't judge. Real powerful. I think one of the real powerful ancient teacher, Rumi, the Sufi poet, who said, in the field outside or beyond right and wrong, I will meet you there. In other words, when you go past, when you go beyond judgment, when we go beyond, this same mind, this same experience, life experience created mind, that manifests apart from the child self. Our own personal child self is smart enough and well equipped and less corrupted to know what is good enough, to know what is good, to know what is right and what is wrong. And again, that goes back to our topic of soul retrieval and being able to speak to parts of ourselves that may have splintered off through dramatic or traumatic experiences, making some type of ceremonial or just conscious reconnection and letting that child part of us know, okay, I'm sorry that happened, but I'm not living that way anymore. I've recognized that there are toxins in the world and that certain things are toxic. I've detoxified, and I've made this version of me a safe place now. I'm a safe place. I've made a safe place for my child self to inhabit. We're gonna live in a fun life again. We're gonna have fun. We're gonna live in our powerful imagination, and we're going to experience the fullness of detoxifying ourselves physically, spiritually, and mentally. So with that, Genothi Seyutan, love, peace, blessing, all manner of health, wealth, and abundance unto you. Shalom, love, namaste.